The used car market experienced a spectacular change after March 2020. What was always among the worst financial choices a person could make ended up being the year's best investment. Welcome to the Financial Flow. Please like and subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay up on our latest videos. For the first time in recorded history, used car prices skyrocketed. The typical price for a used car in January 2020 was $50,000. The price of a used car has increased by 44% to $71,000 today. Across the nation, this development has made life challenging for Americans. American culture depends heavily on cars, and the country has the highest per capita mileage in the world. The average car payment increased to $733 per month as a result of these astronomical price increases. It's a crazy statistic, but for all of those who have been waiting for the market to cool, the time for a crash may finally be here. We have recently seen indications that seem to point to the collapse of the used car market. Shocking developments in the repossession industry set off this perfect storm. Repossessions were virtually non-existent during the pandemic. According to Mark Zane, president of the Nevada Association of Licensed Repossessors, because banks were collaborating with car owners to put off payments. However, things have since turned around, and there are now 15,000 repos across the country every day, setting a new record. Even though there isn't enough information to support his statements, it's alarming to hear a president of a repossession company make such statements. It turns out that finding repo statistics is actually very difficult because most repo data is unavailable to the general public, and the available information is frequently months old. Nevertheless, there are a ton of alternative scenarios that we can consider in order to get a good sense of the overall gloomy picture. As an illustration, the auction lots are flooded with automobiles. People believe there are no cars or repos at the auction, so they are unaware of how large these auctions are and how many cars are present. They had no idea that everything had happened 4 months prior, when everyone was still paying absurdly high prices for cars. There is an additional issue: no sales. On top of this repo surge, which will eventually trickle down and result in an excess supply. This is the name given to cars when they reach the auction lots, but the bids fall below the reserve price established by the sellers, meaning that the bid prices are not high enough to convince the banks, dealers, or whoever owns them to sell. The vehicle remains there for an additional week until another round of bidding takes place, and this process is repeated until the minimum reserve is reached. The past 2 years have caused many used car sellers to change their mindset. Many now hold on until they receive their overpriced price, even if it means continuing to have no sales at the lot week after week. The supply is now increasing exponentially as these lots pile up, and the process from repo to bankruptcy, proceeding to staging to auction to retail sale is a very drawn out one. Therefore, it takes time for the impact of these shifts to show up in the statistics. However, during this month, which many are referring to as the apex, we did not notice some minor signs of relief. In spite of repeated warnings in early 2022, we witnessed the wholesale index decline for the first time in close to 3 years during a protracted downturn that is now shocking the entire industry. Another component of this enormous bubble is being forced into panic mode by this change. As auto delinquencies rise, banks, the lending institutions that have historically beaten the auto industry, are starting to tighten. Bankers are in a panic. In response, they are tightening the requirements for auto loans and enacting new regulations that place limitations on what buyers and dealers are permitted to do. Additionally, bank fees are rising, which is a cost that bankers have passed along to dealers as a cost of doing business. Dealers face a difficult situation as fees rise along with risk. They are not only struggling to get tight margins out of their overpriced inventories, but they are also being squeezed on the back end by banks who are raising the cost of doing business. Two things are happening as a result of this combination. First, dealers are struggling to lower prices because they can't handle the 1-2 punch. And second, buyers are frustrated because they don't understand how used car prices could have remained artificially high 2 years after a purported new car supply crisis. The final component of this perfect storm is dealer delusion, greed, and pain, which, according to insiders, is how used car dealerships typically operate. They don't have any of their own money. They claim that 99.9% of dealerships are financially insolvent. So, how do they get their cars, you ask? Well, they do this through credit lines with businesses like AFC and Next Gear. This is accepted in the sector as normal and typical. However, something is altering. These firms are what industry insiders refer to as floor plan lenders. To borrow money to put your car on the lot, they charge fees and interest. But here's the thing. Just like the banks, these companies are beginning to tighten as they begin to recognize the suffering that lies ahead. As you can see, these businesses are increasing their interest rates to 10%, 15%, and even 20%. The worst part is that they are starting to audit lots. Assume they grant you a $100,000 credit line, and you spend $10,000 on each of the 10 cars you buy. Let's say your cars are just sitting there and not selling as a result of all these issues that were mentioned earlier. After a month, the same lot that was worth $100,000 wholesale 2 months ago is now worth $70,000 wholesale due to shifting market values. Well, these specialty businesses start to worry because they now believe they won't get their money back. They conduct an audit of the property and discover that it is worth $20,000 less than initially estimated. The flooring company can now ask the dealership for $20,000 in cash collateral in order to maintain the loan due to the terms and conditions. In unfavorable economic conditions, this is a real scenario that frequently occurs. As a result of this cycle, car dealerships close, the supply grows, and prices decline as a result of increased supply, and panicked dealerships sending their vehicles to auction to raise some cash. Customers who are aware of this decide not to purchase because they anticipate future price reductions. People not paying for their exorbitantly expensive car triggers a spiral that includes an increase in repossessions, tightening credit, and panicked dealerships. It occurred in 2008, and it now appears to be occurring right now. Used car prices have never before increased, and unless there has been a radical shift in the economics of the auto industry, we should soon see a significant correction. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Have a good one.